Guys, welcome to another video. You've got Mr. Everything English. Now, those of you who watched the last video, we looked at the character of Macbeth and how Macbeth is presented in the beginning of the play. Now, we looked at this particular extract over here, and what we said was that Macbeth essentially is presented as an absolute menace, as an absolute savage. On the battlefield, he is untouchable. Now, this was Macbeth in the very beginning, Act 1, Scene 2 of the play. And we were talking about the idea of how does Macbeth change as a character. What we're going to do now is we're going to look at Macbeth in Act 5 of the play, right at the end of the play, just before he gets his head chopped off by Macduff. And you want to look at how much Macbeth has changed. So, guys, the extract that we're looking at is this one on the board here. And Macbeth, he's just received news that his wife has passed away. And he also knows that the enemies, well, he'd call the enemies Malcolm, Donalbain, Macduff, that they're all waiting outside the castle. So he knows things are pretty bad. Remember, this is the same Macbeth who was defeating armies by himself. This is Valor's minion. This is the man who, unseen from the nave to the chaps. That same guy. Now he's sitting there, guys, and he's realized, hold on a second here.
Everything education. Tuition for maths, English and science.
It's as though my entire life has been a complete waste of time. Now, why is the timing of this so important? He does this just as Lady Macbeth dies, and he gets news of her death. Now, there's two possible answers we can give him. One, that he's so upset by the passing of his wife, he's so distraught by the passing of his wife, that when she dies, he contemplates life and he contemplates death. Or a more Englishy answer is what? When Lady Macbeth dies, the spell she had cast upon him dies with her, and Macbeth almost wakes up and thinks, what the heck am I doing? What is going on? That's a much better analysis. That when she dies, the spell comes off. And what does Macbeth do, guys? He begins and he talks out. And here, guys, this is an imperative. Now, an imperative is a command. Now, what does he say? Out, brief candle. Now here, guys, I would like you all to use the candle as a metaphor. As a metaphor for what? As a metaphor for life. So he says, out, brief candle. Now, guys, remember, we are saying that the candle is a metaphor for life. Now, why does he compare life to a candle? I always argue, guys, a candle can be put out in two ways. There are two ways a candle can be put out: natural or by force. Now, what does that mean? A candle, if we had a candle right now and we left it on that table and we came back in a week's time, that candle is going to burn through. The wax will finish and the candle will naturally burn through. What is the other way a candle can be burnt out? It can be burnt out by force. Blow it, wave your hand over it, and the candle will burn out. Now, why is this important? Because we don't care about a candle over here. We care about life. In this play, not a single character dies through natural means. No one dies because of old age. Every single character in this play dies because of interference. Somebody is either killing the person or the person is killing themselves. Every candle in this play is burnt out through force. That's foreshadowing. Why is it foreshadowing? Because Macbeth is about to get burnt out in a couple of scenes' time. Now, number two, guys, it's the idea of brief. Macbeth also understands whether you die by force or whether you die naturally, it's all the same. Why is it all the same? Because as a human being, life is always brief. He's sitting there thinking, how long am I going to live for? 20 years, 30 years, 50 years? I'm never going to be satisfied. As a human being, you always want more. Especially this guy, Macbeth, in the entire play, he was never ever satisfied. First, he wanted to be the king. When he became the king, he wanted to be king forever. So he went around killing everyone that is a threat in his future empire. Guys, this quote is beautiful when he talks about how Macbeth, for the first time, is contemplating his own life. Every other moment in the play, he's taking the lives of others. But now he's thinking, is his candle about to burn out? And then he continues, guys, and he then describes what he views life as. He becomes a bit of a philosopher, and this is how he views life. He says, life is but a walking shadow. This is how he describes life. Life is but a walking shadow. Okay, now first things first, guys. When we look at the verb walking, it implies a chase. And when it looks at the shadow, it implies catching up. Now, what do I mean by that? If we take our shadow, for example, guys, your shadow is a reflection of you, right? And it's always there. So if I go this way, my shadow moves this way. If I go this way, my shadow goes this way. But your shadow is a reflection of you. If you're stationary, that's not going to move. But he talks about a walking shadow. Life is constantly on the go. Life is never, I'm satisfied, I'm done. Life is constantly on the move. But why does he compare it to a shadow? Because you can never get to your destination. The same way your shadow is never ever done. Because you are never ever done. So you're constantly chasing. So what's Macbeth walking towards? It's that point, isn't it, guys? He's a sucker to ambition. He's a sucker to power. He wants the throne. He's Valor's minion. This is Macbeth. Constantly walking, constantly chasing, but he doesn't realize just the way he can never catch what he wants because he's never satisfied. His shadow can never stop and catch him. It's that never-ending pursuit, guys. And Macbeth is there, almost thinking, what is the worth of all this? Guys, really think about this. This is the same guy in Act 1, Scene 2, who is on the battlefield, chopping the enemy for fun. And now he's sitting there. He's not even, it's not as though he's an old man and he's got some disease. He's the king. He is the most powerful person in the country. And he's thinking, what have I wasted my time doing? Is this what life is all about? Then, guys, we come to his explanation of life. He says, look, we're poor players. And what do? We fret our hour upon the stage and then we are heard no more. It is a tale told by an idiot, full of sound and fury, signifying nothing. Now, guys, just a few things you want to make a point. This is a performance. And it's a performance in two ways. How is this a performance in two ways? Number one, you have to, this is form. This is where you can link it to form. This is the end of the actual play. So imagine, Macbeth is there on the stage and the audience are watching him. And he's saying this line. That as a human being, as a man, as a woman, whatever, he says that you fret your hour. You have your hour. You know, guys, when I say strut and fret, have you guys seen the way Conor McGregor walks? That's what I picture. It's that walk of arrogance. It's that walk of, call it power, call it whatever you want. But you have your moment in the limelight. But it's an hour upon the stage. And this is a beautiful way of coming to the end of the play. Because the audience has just watched Macbeth go from being a soldier to being Thane of Cawdor to being the king. And just as the play is coming to an end, he's had his hour upon the stage. So we know what he's foreshadowing. His time is coming to an end. The play is about to finish. But the second and most important point, fragility of life. Life is so quick. And that's what he's deeping here. Doesn't matter what you do. You only have an hour upon this stage, and it's a performance. It's fake. It's not real. And it comes by so quick, and then he gets angry, and the tone changes. It is a tale. Again, guys, what is this? This is not real. He's contemplating. Remember, guys, this is a Christian society. What was real was heaven and hell. What was real was meeting God and being judged for your sins or your good deeds. That was real. So now he's thinking, this has all been a joke. What have I done? And he calls himself an idiot. And this is such a telling quote, guys. This is like a lot of people say, right, that Macbeth, he goes from being powerful to being the king and so on. Guys, I would say, right, Macbeth kind of goes full circle. Macbeth kind of goes full circle. In the beginning, he's a good guy. He's fighting for his country. He's fighting for God. At the end, briefly, he realizes, what has this all been for? It's a tale told by an idiot, signifying absolutely nothing. And that quote, guys, is a literal stab in the heart of the kingship. This crown on his head is meaningless. Everything he's chased was absolutely meaningless because it means nothing. And guys, if you want to go there, we applied Freud and the id in the beginning. Here, guys, here, if you wanted to, you can apply Freud and the superego. And it's the idea, maybe his guilt has creeped in. Maybe he's realized the consequences of his actions. But he's also realized what a fruitless chase it's been. The witches dangled the kingship at him. Lady Macbeth dangled the kingship at him. He became lost. He became so immersed in it. And the moment Lady Macbeth dies, it's like the spell comes off. And he's thinking, whoa, whoa, whoa. What has been the purpose of all of this? So from being obsessed with power, with being a slave to his id in the beginning, he is now using his superego. Freud said that this part of the brain is our guilt. This is the part of the brain where we begin to show some kind of regret as to what we've done. And is this that part? But I always say it, guys. Macbeth, from this point onwards, he then gets up and he goes and fights. And he fights MacDonald and Donald Bain and the armies and Macduff and all these guys. But why? I argue that Macbeth understands that his time is coming to an end. He's torn. And yes, in a couple of scenes' time, he does say to Macduff that you can never kill me because no man born of a woman. So a part of him is still stuck in the prophecy. But there's also a part of him that's waking up and realizing that all of this has been for nothing. But he has no choice, he has to fight. And Macbeth, guys, he goes out on his shield. So when you view the character of Macbeth, this extract and this extract are beautiful in talking about how Macbeth changes. Because there's such a strong comparison. When we first meet him, he doesn't say a single word. The captain is talking about him, and it's as though the guy's an absolute phantom on the battlefield. But then, the first time we learn a bit about him, like deep, what is his thoughts, what does he think, is when Lady Macbeth passes away. And this is where he contemplates life. So guys, you want to use these two extracts and use them as to how they both juxtapose one another. Alright guys, I hope these past two videos, this one and the last one, are beneficial when it comes to analyzing the character of Macbeth. As always, it's been Mr. Everything English. Peace.